can be a country or a culture or a place, or a setting is also characterized by the climate that the setting sort of shows, right? It can be a cold uh, place, or it can be a hot place, it can be winter, it can be summer, and time, right? It can be in the sometime in the 1800s where people were wearing an entirely different set of clothes, and they don't dress like people like we do in the modern age. Or it can be sometime in the future where there are probably flying cars, and you're in the metaverse, or right, whatever be it, whatever your imagination of the future is like, right? So here I've given some examples. So I thought of characters, I thought of settings like South India and a university campus in a city in 1965. Immediately, you can conjure an image of what a university campus in a city in South India would have looked like in 1965. Am I right or not? Can you imagine IIT Madras campus in 1965? How would it have been different?
It would not have been. I mean, there's no. We cannot draw any parallel with that. It would not be same as the contemporary IIT would be.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps the greenery wouldn't have been.
That would have been much greener, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. It might not have had as many buildings,
Yeah, probably.
right?
Probably.
And
Not as many
perhaps not as
students.
many people. Mm-hmm.
Also, the architecture would have been different.
Yeah, architecture might have been different, right? So I just put the time there because just by changing the time factor, instead of making a story that is set on the IIT Madras campus in 2022, just by changing the time factor to 1965, you can see that your story takes an entirely different shape. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You can go a little bit more outlandish, and you can talk about
Yes.
a setting that is in rural Germany. Might be a nondescript town in Germany where there's a religious cult going on, where people have started their own religion and they're living life on their own terms and their own rules and a new god entirely. And it's not now, it's the year 2030, which is about 9 years from now, right? So it depends on how you're able to craft what your imagination of such a setting looks like, and how you're able to craft your narrative around your imagination, right? And finally, every story usually also has a conflict, right? Of course, this we're talking about very traditional kinds of stories. We're talking about stories that are, not at an advanced level where, some very advanced level of storytelling might involve beginning the story in the middle and ending without any climax, or just a slice of life drama where you don't really have any conflict, but you're just watching. Many films that are called slice of life films, they don't really involve any huge conflict or any huge struggle. They're just a depiction of life as is, right? And the struggles of the normal everyday person, everyday uh, human being. So that would not be a story that is necessarily following this arc of, uh, character struggles, and then character struggle gets over, and then there's a climax and all's well that ends well. Not all stories necessarily take that route, but as we begin on our journey with storytelling, it's good to embark on this journey with a basic understanding of what the traditional way of storytelling looks like, right? So here, the conflict that I've come up with is that the main character is guilty of a secret, and now he has told that secret to somebody he should not have told it to, and that has given rise to the conflict, right? Or the main character has overheard a secret, uh, and now he's overheard perhaps that his own aunt or somebody is plotting the murder of his entire family, right? and now he's unsure of what to do. And that's sort of the conflict that takes the story forward, right? A little bit morbid. I don't know why I thought about that, but well, it's caught in a dangerous forest, right? Maybe this is a bunch of young kids who are caught in a forest and they don't know what to do and how to get out, right? And the story of how they navigate that being lost in the forest, that can be a conflict in itself, and that can make up the essence of a story, right? So, for instance, I'm thinking of this book, Lord of the Flies, by Goldstein. So it's a story of a bunch of young kids who are stuck in a forest. So essentially, these are the elements of the story, and what we did in the last session was we asked everybody to come up with elements like this, put them together in a basket, in a metaphorical basket, and then weave a story out of them, right? So how many of you have sort of worked on it, and maybe one or two of you can demonstrate your stories? So we have Vidyavrat, Karunesh, Deepak. So how about we begin with Deepak and team? I don't know how many members you had in the team. And of course, if you'd like to have your videos on, please feel free to do so. It'd be wonderful to see you sort of narrate with the expression. Deepak, are you ready? Are you and team ready? Would you like to present and narrate your story?
Yeah, ma'am.
Alrighty. So, you want to start? Go ahead. Get your videos on if you want to, and start narrating it for the audience. Tell them what your plot points were, what your plot elements were. Start by telling them what elements you chose, and then narrate the story. Is it all right? You have 1 minute from now.
Actually, my camera is not proper, so I will not going to video. Okay.
Just narrate your story then.
Okay. This is the story of a man named Rahul, whose age is 24, recently passed out from the college and does not get placed during the college placement session and wanted to pursue higher study for better job. And he also cleared the exam required for the higher study, and he also get the opportunity to study in good college. But due to his family situation, he is obliged to do some job and earn to fulfill basic need of his family. So one of his friends suggest him a job article referring to market job, but there is none. There is one condition: the job seeker should have his own bike. He only have that much amount in his which he can join higher study, but he use that money to buy an old bike without any proper document. Instead to join the college and and go for the job. Then he start his job and continue for 1 month, and everything is going on track. And now he also have a relationship. By the time his partner's parents came to know about their relationship, so is he asked her daughter to meet him, but but on the day when he decided to meet her father, so on the way he stopped at some place and park his bike and go to shop to get a gift for her father. But when he came back of the shop, he saw that his bike was not there. So he searched his bike, but he did not find it. Meanwhile, her partner called him to ask to come soon, as instead of searching his bike, he went to her place and meet her father. While meeting her, while meeting him, he present there physically, but not mentally. He is still thinking about his bike, and because of this, not able to put good impression on her father. So because of this, his relationship also came under trouble. And meanwhile, because he does not have his bike, so he cannot able to continue his job and lost his job as he does not have the proper document of his bike, so he could not lodge a.
Deepak, you have half more minute to finish your story.
Yeah, okay. Instead of searching his bike, mean and lost his bike as he could not lodge a complaint for it. After much struggle, he came back to his home that night, and he did not tell anything about the whole matter to his family, as he knew that everyone would be angry with him. He had not even eaten that night. He could hardly sleep to whole night. He knew that if he did not know his bike, did not if he did not know his bike, he know that if he did not find his bike, his financial life would be in trouble. So he decided not to lose his hope. When he woke up the next morning, his mother asked him what he want to carry in the lunchbox. He pretended that as his health is not good, so he has taken leave from the company. So he again goes to find his bike where it lost it, and inquiry from the people around, and again he find nothing but despairs. After a few days, he was returned from the market. He saw a bike going on the road which looked like his bike. Then he again looked back and checked the number plate. That was his bike. He called the person who was driving in his bike, but they were in the group of many people. They were going arbitrarily on the road. He immediately followed them. As soon as the biker driver saw Rahul coming after them, he understood that this bike
Deepak,
belongs
you have
to
to wrap up. Your time is up.
you.
Looks more like a slice of life story.
He he drew others people's attention toward Rahul. Everyone understood. They went under the closed bridge behind them. Rahul also went under the bridge. As soon as Rahul reached in front of him, Rahul requested them that this bike is his bike, and they should and they will do him a big favor by returning this bike. They made fun of him and refused to return the bike. One of them came forward and told if Rahul wins the battle with one of them, he will return his bike to him. Rahul has a person who stay always from beating since childhood, but this time he has no other option after that. So he gave as to fight. He pick up Rahul and to him due threw him on the ground, and
Okay.
because of that thing, Rahul's shoulder start bleeding. Somehow Rahul get up again, but the person drop him on the ground again. This time Rahul gets deep injury in his leg, due to which it becomes difficult to Rahul to stand up. But Rahul knew
Okay, Deepak,
that
I have to stop you there. I have to
yeah,
stop you there. Is it done?
no, my few sentence only.
Okay, I'm giving you like 30, 20 seconds to finish.
Okay, he stand up and streak that person suddenly, and that person get several injuries in his brain. Due to because of that, he become unconscious. Everyone sees him. Then some of his friends took him to hospital, and everyone declare Rahul as victory and return his bike to him. According to this condition, Rahul clean his bleeding and take the bike and go for the hospital, and his go for the hospital. After that, he back to his home.
Okay,
They are
great.
surprised to
So your
see his
story is done.
situation. Yeah, ma'am.
Right. I would suggest that while your narration is really good, I would suggest that you think of a conflict that is more compelling, right? Here is where we can explore, be very outlandish, talk about things that can be uh, things that might not necessarily happen in real life. Okay. So those things, I mean, this is a perfectly well suited story that is, as I said, probably something that would happen in real life, which is completely fine. But well narrated, a little bit more punch to the conflict and to the narration would have been great.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am. Yeah.
great, wonderful. Now, one more person. I'm going to choose one more person, and you'll have like exactly 1 minute to tell your story. Let me choose. How about
1 minute would be like quite a torture, like at least 2 minutes or so.
I mean, if you right. Okay, then one more person, 2 minute stories. Okay. So let me choose. Let me choose. Who should I choose? Muskan, do you have your story ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Videos on if possible, because I really like to see how you're narrating it.
Sorry, ma'am, but I'm using my laptop and its camera quality is quite low.
Okay, then go ahead, no problem.
Okay, ma'am, the story starts like Rahul, a working person, office going boy, lives in a flat in Mumbai with his roommate Ajay. He, he at a night he comes at one night he comes his flat room at like 11 p.m. late, quite late, and when he enters his flat, he looks that the door is unlocked, and he remembers that his roommate was not coming today. Wha- his roommate has to come 10 days later. So he got quite confused whether he locked his door or not. Then he enters the room and went to kitchen to get a drink. And when he enters, he was going in kitchen. He switches off the lights were flickering, started to flicker. The light goes on and off. He shivers down his spine. He got quite scared little bit. He opened his fridge to get a drink. Then when he opened, he saw a bottle full of blood. Bot, bottle full of blood, and he got quite more scared. and and he was quite screaming. He went to the room, tried to unlock the door, but it was locked, and the electricity was quite flickering. And he tried to call someone, but his phone went switch off. His phone was switch off, and he tried to contact with telephone. The telephone line was also not connecting. He was very scared, and 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 later he he started to hear some voices like crying cats, dogs, and screaming voices. Oh, he was very scared. He just tried and closed his eyes and cried so loudly. And then again from backside, his friend switch on the light and said, "It's a prank."
Okay.
So it was his friends who were pranking him. Thank you,
Oh
ma'am. That
wow.
was it.
Right. So the ending is somebody's pranking him.
Yeah, ma'am.
Right. Great.
It
A
was his
horror
friend.
story that turned into a comedy
It
that
was
has a
it was
really
it was his friend Ajay who was coming 10 days later, but went early without informing him.
perfect. Great. Well narrated, Muskan.
Thank you, ma'am.
Again, note of small notes to both Deepak and Muskan. Small grammatical errors need to be taken care of. When you write your
Yeah, ma'am.
right, when you write your story down, get feedback from people. If you want feedback, send it to me.
Yes,
So
Sure, ma'am.
send it. It's very hard to point out grammatical errors uh, when you're
Well,
speaking.
Where to send, ma'am?
You can send it to my email ID, which is this. You can all right, so you can send it to my email ID, or you can post it on Discourse. If you're on Discourse, you can post it on Discourse so that you can get feedback from your peers also.
We are
All right.
still not there.
So once you get on Discourse, you can do that. In the meantime, if you want feedback, you can send it to me. I can't promise to give everybody feedback, but whenever I get the time, I will definitely do that. Okay. So great. Thank you, everyone. I hope you've all managed to write that story with your teammates. But now we'll move on to something that is a little bit more fun, that's a little bit more interesting, and more of you will get a chance to speak now, right? So this was the activity that we did yesterday. And here are some prompts. You can take a screenshot of this screen, because there are some prompts here that you can use to write stories back when you go back home, right? So for instance, the first prompt is a very interesting prompt, right? I've given here the prompt that says, retell a folk story or a fairy tale you grew up listening to, but with a different ending, right? Suppose you want to talk about, how many of you know the story, The Tortoise and the Hare? I'm sure you know that, right? I'm sure everybody knows that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What would happen? Think of an alternative ending to that story. What would happen if the rabbit had actually won, right?
Can I,
What
ma'am?
would have happened? Sorry?
May I?
No, not now. These are prompts for you to think about and write on your own. So once you're done writing, then we can sort of do the narration and everything else. For now, I have a different activity which all of you can participate in. So take a screenshot. Once you're done, just drop a thumbs up on the chat box so that we can move on. Great. Okay. Right. So we are moving on to this sort of task, which is the autobiography of anything, right? So the concept behind this task is just realizing the fact that everything in the world has a story, and the thing doesn't have to be necessarily a living thing, right? It can be like a pair of socks. Even those that pair of socks have their own has their own story. And then matchbox, it can have its own story, right? Suppose you're talking about, I have like this washing clip near me. It has its own story, right? And I also, as a human being, I have my own story behind, right? So the task that you need to do for this session is you have to imagine the life story of any object that is lying around you, right? And you have to describe that object's history backwards, right? You can describe that object through its personal use, where it was purchased, where it was manufactured, where its components were made, and then how it is being used today, right? And you have to personify that thing. That thing has to be, you have to be telling the story from the point of view of that thing, right? For instance, let me begin. Let me be the first person to sort of the autobiography. So here's my watch, right? I'm going to tell the story as if I were the watch, right? So I would begin in a manner something like this. Hi, I'm Watch. I was made somewhere in Switzerland and then shipped to the US. And then somebody decided to buy me as a gift to their niece. And one day I flew all the way from the US to India, and then a girl who was about 17 at the time, opened that box and saw me. And she was so delighted to see me that I was also very happy to come under her ownership. Well, she's a nice owner, and she does take care of me a lot of the time. And sometimes she does forget me. Sometimes She handles me a little roughly, but then I fulfill my duty all the time and give her the accurate, an accurate reading of the time that day, right? Sometimes I'm faulty, but then I get faulty once in every 2 years or so. But then once my owner takes me to a shop and then gets me repaired, I'm back to normal and fit as a fiddle. And I usually get back to showing the time in an accurate manner. So that's the story of me. What's your story? Right. So did you see how I talked about this watch as if I were the watch? Right? I
Yeah,
talked about the watch as if I were the watch. So I took the point of view of the watch itself. So now everybody's task is to do the same. Okay? One of you can volunteer and go first
Excuse me,
and
ma'am.
pick any object around you. And you have to stick to the time, just 30 seconds to 40 seconds. That's all. I will cut you off at the end because everybody sort of needs to get an opportunity to speak.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, when we are narrating the story of an object, does it needs to be an autobiography where we start from the starting of that particular object and finish at where he is present? Can we start like something where the object is narrating itself, his present condition and what he was at the past, and now he thinks of future?
Absolutely. The chronological order does not need to be a past, present, future. I chose to do it that way. But if you want to talk about what the object is right now, maybe it's feelings,
Yes,
uh,
ma'am.
maybe the watch is feeling really tired at the moment, maybe you can talk about that as well. So it doesn't matter as long as you're using the first person. Do you understand what I mean by the first person here?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I completely do.
Yeah. It does not have to be, I was born in this place. Does not have to be that way.
Okay, ma'am.
All right.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
you should the point of the task is that people should get to know something about the object from its own point of view. All right.
Okay, ma'am.
Great. So who wants to go? Again, videos are encouraged. And you may start off whenever you wish. Just raise your hands and I'll call out your names accordingly. Are people raising their hands? Okay. Vidyavrat, do you want to go? How
Yes.
about Vijay Meena? Oh
Hello.
yeah, go ahead, Vidyavrat.
Yes. I was actually sending you mail. So, hello.
Yeah, you're perfectly audible.
I have. Am I supposed to present our story that we have created?
Not the story, the autobiography of anything that we just discussed.
No.
You're not prepared for that? That's all right. Maybe we can go on to the next person then. Vijay Meena?
Yeah, ma'am. Hi.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, ma'am. So this is Vijay. Hi, I am COVID-19 virus. It has always been dark, and I have deduced this much that I'm in China right now, cause the people speaking in the Chinese language, and then suddenly all things around me came to be red when I was inside a person. So I was traveling from his nostrils to his body, and I explored different regions which I haven't explored yet. I always used to stay into glass tubes and things like that. So suddenly it's like I am a living thing. And yeah, that's all, ma'am. Yeah, that's what I have thought.
You can extend it a little bit, talk about, but of course, time constraints, but very imaginative, very creative. Thank you so much. Wonderful. So how about Saurabh? Do you want to go next?
yeah, sure. Hi, I'm a cow, and I have intention of giving comfort to the people, and I have been made in the factory of BMW, and I would love to give some comfort to the people while they return from their office, and get a good lean on me, and they also should get good reputation uh, by uh, buying me as their lavish car. And
Okay, great, wonderful. Uh, well narrated. Who's going next? Manan.
Hello, ma'am. Am I
Yeah,
audible?
go. Yes.
Yes, sir. So, I think my video is clear.
Manan, could you say that again? I could not.
Is my video clear?
Yes, yes, you're visible. Thank you so much.
So, the story. Sorry, ma'am.
It's a
Okay,
hard.
maybe we can move on to Pranita.
Good evening, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh,
Good evening.
hi, I'm mightier than Spot. Guess who am I? I'm a pen. Children from school to old people relaxing at their old age with their grandchildren use me every day. Earlier days, I was made with wood, and nowadays I am being made with plastics, and people consider me a waste after my use is over. This makes me very sad of my condition. My condition is so pity. Can you help me to recover from this situation? Just think of it. Can you make me a reusable thing? Why don't you make me with refills? Thank you, ma'am. That's what I thought.
Great, great, wonderful. I really like how you brought in the aspect of getting people to act on something through the autobiography. So that's really nice. Yeah, a
Ma'am,
couple of grammatical errors here and there, which I'm sure you can work on.
ma'am, I am ready.
Okay.
Who's that?
Ma'am, Manan.
Yes, Manan, go on.
Good evening, everyone. So my story starts with a story of an second-hand smartphone. So now I am narrating as the smartphone. Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Samsung Galaxy S7. I'm a pretty old smartphone, and Ravikant bought me from an old second-hand mobile phone shop. When his father came to shop on 27th January, it was Ravikant's birthday. He was in class 12 and wanted a new phone, but his father didn't have much money, so he got to the nearby shop and buy the second-hand phone. Ravikant still complains to his father that I am old and rusty. I don't work very well. Yeah, I know I cannot work that well compared to the modern phones, but I do my best to make Ravikant happy. He sometimes get angry towards me, and he once throwed me on the bed, and I just got jumped jump from a bed and fall onto the floor, and I got broken. My screen got broke.
Great,
Uh,
well done. It. More?
ma'am,
Do you have more?
yes, ma'am. A little more. Actually, my grandfather came, so I was just looking to him. Uh, so one day he just complaining towards me until he realized how much useful I am. On that day, he was returning from a school picnic, where he actually lost his way during on your home because everybody was has came through bike, but Rahul was coming through his bicycle. He lost his way onto the road, and he didn't know where to go. There was no person who could guide him to the road. He soon realized that I was in his backpack lying at the bottommost pocket. He just stripped me off from the bag and made a call to his father. His father came running to the place. Fortunately, I was having a GPS, so his father was able to track the location. And then he actually protected Ravikant from hazardous situations that could cause from him being alone in the stranger road. Okay, ma'am, my story is over. Thank
Okay,
you.
great, great, wonderful. Well narrated, seamless. One small mistake that I saw, again, small grammatical mistake, is complain
Yes,
to me, not complain towards me. And one more general suggestion is that, of course, I think I may have misled all of you by talking about myself. in my example. But try to keep your story more from the perspective of the object itself, and not make it like a proxy story of, the person who's narrating, right? Which is totally fine also. But yeah, just a suggestion, just a suggestion. That's all. All right. Who wants to go next? Let me just look at the people who've raised their hands. Ashish, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I'm telling about earphone. I am earphone. I got manufactured in a company. People used to buy me. They use me for hearing clear voice and also to listen music. But sometimes they get angry and throw me. And sometimes they put in pocket and I got uncluttered. Uh, they spend much time to uncluttering me. This is me. What about you? Thank you.
Okay, great. So short and to the point. Uh, People used to buy me. I think that's a mistake that we all do generally. It's a very common error. But when you're talking about something that happens regularly, it's better to
Yes.
use the simple present tense. You can just say people buy me all the time or people
Okay.
buy me regularly, right? People used to buy me signifies that in the past people used to buy earphones or whatever,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
now they don't no longer buy earphones, which I'm assuming is not the meaning that you wanted to convey, right?
Okay.
So better to say people buy me. Okay.
I think, ma'am, maybe he could have meant the wired earphones, like people and now it's all Bluetooth and everything. So people are not buying me
Right.
in that sense.
Right. If that was the case, then you were absolutely right. But in case it wasn't, because it's a mistake that people do, I just thought I would mention. Okay. Next, Kavita.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. I'm talking about like water. So, hey, I'm water. Though I'm present more than 70% on Earth, still I'm not much available as a drinking water. As I am limited, still people are wasting me, which made me feel bad about them. Because if they keep wasting me, they will run out of me. That's it for now.
Okay, another environmental lesson, which is also great. Again, small grammatical mistake. If you're
Okay, ma'am.
using though, don't use still in the same sentence, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Though they use, though they require me, still they use me. That's not correct. Instead, what you can say, though they require me, they use me in a wasteful manner, right? Because though the word in itself has the meaning that you want to convey using the word still. Okay.
Okay,
So,
ma'am.
an otherwise great story. Well narrated, could have been a little longer, but then that's all right. Muskan can go next.
Okay, ma'am. Oh, hey, I'm a teddy. I was a big place where I was with my own kind people. Some were shorter than me, some were bigger than me, some were of my height. One day at my place, a big Mostek man came and bought me. He took me with him, and later the day, he presented me with to his little daughter. She was so happy when she saw me and hugged me tightly. She screamed and smiled. From that day, she plays with me daily, sleeps with me, sings with me, dances with me. But brother, his brother was so annoying. He he used he take he snatches from her. He snatches me from her and used to punch me, kick me, and play dirty with me. By his dirty plays, my neck got snatched, stitched out. my cottons were coming out, and by and the little girl was very sad because of because his brother used to do that, used to beat me. She was very sad and she screamed at him, but he always beats me. He never listens to her and always beats me. I don't know why. And one day I became so shattered. I was very unuseful. They thought I was very unuseful. My cottons were out. I was I my cottons were coming out from everywhere. I lost my nose. I lost my ear, one of my ear. And another day, I, and a day I awoke. I was in a dustbin. I was missing. I was missing the little girl who used to play with me, sleeps with me, smiles with me. And a day I was in a dustbin. Thank you, ma'am. That's all.
Okay, great. Slightly sad story, but some grammatical mistakes that I would like to point out.
Yes, ma'am.
Presented me to a little girl, not with a little girl. You're saying presented me with a little girl, then the little girl was the present to the time.
Okay, ma'am.
Then one more. One of my year, no. Again, very important point. I hope everybody else also makes a note of this. Whenever you're using the construction one of one of dash, the noun that is in the dash should always be in the plural, right? One of my pens, one of my watches, or one of my friends, one of my teachers, always plural, or 100% always plural, right? And third point, also try to use the present tense more, or in this case, your story was in the past tense, so you could have said something like, one day, this little girl's brother snatched me and he tore me into shreds. And the little girl had started crying. So your entire story should be in one tense, should be in the tense that you're trying to narrate the story. Now, this is something that happened in the past, so you use the past tense. Not necessarily used to. Used to as a construction is used for a very specific way, for a very specific purpose, right? I used to play on the swing in my childhood, but I no longer do. Right? Only in that case you use used to. But if you're talking about something that happened in general in the past, then it's safe to stick with the simple past tense, which is I played on the swing. The little girl's brother snatched the teddy, or I found myself in the dustbin. Right. So simple past tense is enough. But otherwise, great story, well narrated. Muskan, great work.
Thank
So
you, ma'am.
who going next? I can see somebody named iPad.
Hello,
Yeah.
am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. I will narrate a story as a piece of paper. I am a piece of paper. The woodcutter goes to the wood and cuts the trees and extract wood pulp from the woods. And these wood pulp are being laid on the industries to make me and my co-mates. Me and my co-mates are being bundled in a way of like newspapers, or in the way of copies which the students and many different people use for their different purpose. But I am a little sad because people don't utilize me as a whole. They use it half, or they don't use and just throw it in the dustbin. This is not the proper way of using me. People should utilize the piece of paper as a whole and should not waste it. If they waste so many pieces of papers, then the woodcutters will cut more woods, and there will be deforestation. This is very harmful for the people and the nature. So I really request as a piece of paper to utilize me full rather than throwing it in the dustbin and reuse it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. One small suggestion. Wood is in itself a singular noun, so you can't say woods. What you can say is pieces of wood, right? Right. So that's an important point. But otherwise, great narration. As usual, we have another uh, environmentally conscious story, which is great. Next, Akash.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, I am a Scooty. I am a gift bought by a son for his mother, as she needs to go to market. As I am young right now, so everyone in the family used to care me, clean me before riding on me. Every time, wash me fortnight, used to give me my basic needs, just like mobile oil, and basic needs of me. But as the time passes, my shine starts losing, and also all this care will be lost along with it. But as long as you care me, I will care you while riding on me. Thank you.
Great, great, wonderful. As long as you care for me, I will care for you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Care for is the construction. Okay, good narration. Thank you so much. Akshaya, do you want to go next? I think we'll take three or four more people and then wrap up.
Hi, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Ma'am?
You are audible, Akshaya.
So, I am spectacles. I mostly use for... Yes, ma'am. I am spectacles, everyone. I mostly use to see things properly. Normal people usually can see with direct eyes, but my owner can't see. She's almost blind without me. At first, when I was bought from her, she used to take care of me very well. She used to clean me every day and put me in a box. But nowadays, she just throws me away, doesn't care about me. And when she needs me, she'll definitely use me. So whatever, I'll always care for her and I make her see this world. Thank you.
Great, great. Seamless, well narrated, Akshaya. Small mistake. Whenever she needs me, she will use me. Again, will, very common mistake. But if you're talking about something that happens regularly, it's better to use the simple present tense. Right? So whenever she needs me, she uses me. Right? On the other hand, if you're using, say, conditional construction, then you can say, if she needs me, she will use me. Then it's okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Anjana Kumari.
Hey Alexa, this is what people call me when they want to talk to me. You can talk to me in any language that you want, and I'll respond to you in that language itself. I have answers to almost all the queries that you have. And if I don't get any answer, I'll come to you with yes no questions, whether you're satisfied or not. If you're still not satisfied, you can prod me further. Like human, I also learn every minute, every day, and I'm becoming more powerful. I'm becoming more strong, and I'm collecting more information with the enhancements that I'm getting on a day-by-day basis. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, great. Very imaginative again. Picking Alexa. Great choice. Small mistake.
I thought of a lot, but I forgot. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, that's good. Very well narrated. Very, very small mistake. Stronger, right? Not more strong.
Okay.
But then I'm just pointing out these very small mistakes, very minor mistakes.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. It's going to help me.
Yeah. Then, okay, great. Rajanshi. We'll have Rajanshi and then Abhi and then we'll wrap up.
Hello everyone, I am a hairpin. Ria bought me a month ago, but now she thinks that she lost me. But it's her carelessness that now I am lost. Now I always used to hear stories from my friends and my family members that humans are very carelessness. Sorry, humans are very careless when humans are very careless when they bring us home, their home. But now I can say that I have experience. That's it.
Okay, great. Great work. No mistakes, Rajesh. Great work.
Thank you, ma'am.
Abhi.
Hi, good evening. Hi, I am book. I am made up of piece that come from wood pulp. It takes a long time for me to come to my final stage. When I reach to the bookshelf and am placed on the display window overlooking the street, I can watch all the people go by. Sometimes someone stops by to look at me. I can call at once, glance whether or not they will treat me well. If I go into good hands, I remain clean and intact. I live for a long time, but if a careless person by me, my glance faces a turn and all sort of police in return on me is written on me. I feel very sad if this happens. My main aim is to give pleasure to whoever reads me. I can become a very good friend of my owner too. If I give him great enjoyment, I feel very beautiful and soft and I have purity printed on me. The language of my text doesn't matter. All I want is that whoever holds me should treat me gently and with care. I hope everyone will begin to do so. Thank you.
Great. Great work, Abhi. Seamless. I think one of the most important parts of storytelling is to ensure that you don't stop midway and that you continue going ahead with whatever you have in your mind, regardless of what sort of obstacles you come across. So that seamlessness is very important. So that I see in a lot of you, which I'm really impressed by and which I'm really happy about. Okay, so that's the task for today. The chat box is going slightly amok. Okay. All right. Some entirely different conversation going on there. But here's a little bit of a task for you. So I'm really excited because this evening I'm going to be going off to the beach, visiting the beach in a long time, in about 2 years. And I'm excited for it because I want to sort of soak in the senses, all the breeze on your face and looking at the horizon all the way into, the very end of the waters and just feeling the water splash across your feet. I think I'm really excited for that. So I would suggest you to think of a situation that you've not been in the last 2 years. Maybe you've not gone to a railway station in a very long time, or maybe you've not gone to the beach, or maybe you've not sat on a crowded bus in a very long time because of the pandemic. So I would sort of leave you with a task. Think of a situation like this that is a sensory overload, right? Like going to a crowded vegetable market, or sitting on a crowded bus, or going to the railway station, whatever be it. Think of a situation like that and write down the senses, the sensory elements associated with that. Imagine you're in that place and what is it that you feel? What are the sounds you can hear? What can you see? What can you smell? Are these good fragrances? Are there odors? Is it a pleasant thing? Is it unpleasant? So whatever be it, maybe write down 100 to 200 words on the kind of sensory experiences that you've missed out over the last 2 years, especially in sort of places like public places like public transport or beaches or markets, things like that. All right. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
just yourself. You don't have to send it to anybody or whatever. Just sort of a task for yourself.
Can you repeat now?
Can I? Oh, yeah, sure. Think of a place or a setting or a situation that is a sensory, that's heavy on the sensory side, right? Like a crowded vegetable market. You can smell all these different kinds of vegetables. Some smells are not great. There are rotten vegetables on the one hand, and then people are screaming the names of whatever vegetables are on sale, and then children are crying, and you can see so many different, it's like a colorful event. So think about all the senses. What can you feel? What can you see? What can you hear? What can you smell? Right? Think about all of these things and write a short observational piece about 100 to 200 words. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It doesn't have, can you think of any other setting? I mean, I gave you the example of a railway station or a market or a beach or something like that. Can you think of other examples?
Like ma'am, Holi is coming soon, right? So it would be a havoc. So yeah.
Absolutely. A very crowded atmosphere, very sensory.
Yeah,
sort
like
of
sound, colors, each and everything. It's a mess. So
Great example. Any other examples?
Yes, ma'am. Return to office. I really don't know what to do.
Yeah. Return to office. Now you have to talk to people. There are people out there, and you're not just looking at their faces in a screen, right? So think about any situation like that, and then
Kitchen
please try
stuff.
the different. Mm-hmm.
On Holi, kitchen stuff. Lots of cookings.
Yeah, lots of cooking. Absolutely.
whenever you go to like a hill station or anything, the brokers, they surround you, like, right? Like come with us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's
sorry.
also again a very good example.
Track,
I mean, sky is the limit to your imagination. So just pick a situation, write about it, right? It's just a personal reflective thing. It's not like an assignment or anything. So yeah, it'll be fun. It hardly take you 5 to 10 minutes and be fun. All right. Okay. With that, I think we'll wrap up. So I hope you enjoyed that session. The next session we'll talk a little bit more about impromptu
Excuse me,
speaking.
ma'am. Ma'am, you asked to submit that stories which were given. So where do we have to submit it? In the last session.
So you've written down stories, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what I thought, I talked to the point of contact, and since you all don't have discourse IDs yet, what I thought is I would create a drive folder and share the link with you in the next session. You can upload it on that folder in the next session.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So that's about it for today. Happy Holi, everyone. And
Happy Holi, ma'am.
Happy Holi, ma'am.
Happy Holi, ma'am.
Happy Holi. I hope you enjoyed this session.
Happy Holi, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We'll do a little bit of discussion on public speaking. Is that okay? On public speaking with little preparation. Suddenly you're asked to speak, say in a wedding or in a school event or a college event. Suddenly if somebody comes to you and asks you to speak at short notice, how can you make the most of it, and how can you speak at short notice on any given topic, right?
Just like
All right, so
extempore.
extempore, not okay. Extempore, but also I'm talking very specifically about impromptu. Extempore also you have a little bit of time to prepare. Impromptu, not so much. We'll discuss the differences between extempore and impromptu as well in the next session. Okay. Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave this session now. Stop sharing. And see you all in the next session. Really nice talking to you all today.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for the session, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Happy Holi, everyone.
Happy Holi.
Happy Holi.
अरे मेल आईडी
Where are you, Ashish?
ये मेल कॉपी पेस्ट क्यों नहीं हो रहा है?
Take the screenshot, bro. If you can't copy paste it, then just take the screenshot.
या डन। आशीष भाई कहाँ घूम रहे हैं?
आशीष भाई कहाँ हो?
घर पे हूँ भाई।